I went on so many tangents there, but there are okay. There's a couple things I definitely want to get to, and who knows what else I'll get to. I don't know. Find out. Maybe nothing. Maybe something. But uh, one of the things I was saying is the problem with tests. Okay, so I was harshing on Plato. I do that quite a bit, and I haven't even read that much Plato. But it's one of those magnetism things. I get close to Plato, and something inside me pushes away. However, and I've mentioned that word on the street is that he's a Pythagorean dropout and not not really the student of Socrates or just the student of Socrates. That's kind of like a front. Um, the possibility exists, for instance, this is a way of thinking about it, that Plato was a full-fledged Pythagorean, and that whoever his ego was Pythagorean. Whatever his true name was Pythagorean. But that his persona was that of Plato, shy of Pythagorean. That he literally, what do we mean by literally? Literally created a caricature or a character called Plato, put it in the world as a test. In which case, and I've said this before, because it does seem to me, I don't even think Plato believed in Plato's Republic. I think that whole dialogue, I think it was a test. What we read about all the time is how he sets up this Socratic dialogue and shows in his text how he takes a stupid idiot, and not in the good sense, there is a good sense of the word idiot, not in that way, but just takes a total schlep and leads him through this logical argument to the truth. My argument is that Plato's Republic shows how you can take a total schlep, use rhetoric to take someone through a seemingly logical argument with very subtle flaws, very subtle flaws, the same way the mathematics of the day is constructed. There are these very subtle flaws. Like if you're looking at the Riemann hypothesis, there's so many steps and so many things, like from here to here to here to here to here. I mean, my presumption is that not necessarily that not that it's wrong, but like proving that whole s to the half or whatever line of non-inconsequential zeros, like proving that, like there are these gaffes in the logic of how you get from here to there. That's a bad example. So I guess what I was trying to say is that the possibility exists, and yeah, I harsh on Plato, but I'm harshing on the historical Plato. I might, in some sense, well respect the ego, whatever his name is, if Plato was a he, or if the ego that assumed the role of Plato was a he. It's a big if. Especially considering the reverence paid toward the first Greek philosopher, Heraclitus, and the most revered of gods through the esoterica of Western literature for the last 2,000 years. Hermes. But, so we might want to reconsider redefining our pronouns and instead learn the hidden truths of them. Anyway, though we do need to put a ha in front of the man for male, for sure. And also, okay, the Parmenidean it, historically that's been stood against the Heraclitean change. That's a false split. The Parmenides it is not necessarily opposed to the fable of Heraclitean omni-change. But anyway, the whole thing with Plato's Republic is it may well have been a test, kind of like in the beginning of the movie Willow, where the wizard dude asks which finger holds all the magic in the world, and he's holding up his hand and all his fingers, and everybody chooses his fingers and everybody's wrong because it ain't the fingers he's holding up, it's your own, right? So Plato's Republic might have been like that, where you're supposed to just be like, no. Unfortunately, people don't realize how far along we are in that doctrine. And if you haven't read it or heard, there's all kinds of shit I haven't read or heard. But I went through that one. I'm not even going to talk about it. But if you're into conspiracies and all the things in Agenda 21 and blah 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 and all that, yeah, that's not new. Go read Plato's Republic. You don't even need to search between the lines because it's just like right there. But then when you do read between the lines, right? So that's what I talked about last time. But anyway, it may well have just been a test. Not meant to be preserved for the last 2,000 years as a pinnacle of Western thought. Yet that's what happened. Because instead of being, it's a text, switch the X with an S, and it's a test. The test became a text, but we're not supposed to read the SAT. Go read the SAT, right? What are you going to do tomorrow? Same thing you did yesterday. Nothing. It's not going to give you any truth. The Republic doesn't have any truth. I shouldn't say that. But at face value. So this is my thing with building truth on lies and with symbology. There's all kinds of ways to say one thing and mean another, and there's all kinds of ways to indicate that depending on your body movements, depending on, for instance, like if you say, I don't think so. That's a coded way of saying I know. So if someone says, hey, did such and such happen? And you say, I don't think so. In code, that means yes, because you don't think so, you know. You know it happened. You see? There are ways to qualify that by what you say next, by what you said before, by how you emphasize a statement. For instance, if someone said, hey, do you think something is such and such? And you could say, I don't think it is. It sounds like you're saying, I don't think it is. But what you're saying is, I don't think it is. Like, I don't think it is. It is. You see. And that's been important through time, and it's still important now, but it bugs the fucking shit out of me. I hate learning it. I hate deciphering it. I hate listening to the prophets talk that way, and they do. And there's so fucking many of them, they're everywhere. You know? And it drives me nuts. But it's one of those untenable truths. So, I guess my plea or my prayer to my brothers and my betters and my worses, I don't think I have any worses, but to build truth on truth. We can say something true and build truth upon it. See, that's one of the things, like if I say I don't think it is, but I mean symbolically that it is, then I'm building truth on a lie. It's symbolic, and they say if you're rational enough, that's okay. But there are all kinds of ways to build, like, you could set up a sentence where you're saying one thing and meaning another symbolically, depending on all kinds of things. There's a gazillion ways to encode what you're saying and to point that in different directions. A gazillion. But there's also things that you can say that have a negative connotation to you, to me. People can say something to me that has a negative connotation, but then symbolically there's something like good beneath it. I won't go into detail, but use your imagination. Someone says something to you like this, but they're Morse coding good job. Let's say it like that. I actually don't know Morse code that well, and I don't know much of it, but one of the things about clairvoyant telepaths who think at who think in frame rates orders of magnitude higher than we do, never mind who think in superluminal frame rates, know what you're going to think before they even do anything, right? But I have a specific Morse code that I use that's just a little different than Morse code, and the telepaths know that, and the prophets know that, so that's fine. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but to people who get what I'm saying, it's our obligation to do our best, to try more and more to build truth on truth, and to try more and more to stack symbology on top of symbology in a truthful manner. Because like I said, you could say someone's pointing at you and be like, you dirty rotten son of a bitch, and remember that thing you did and this other thing and this or that. Never mind all the other symbolic ways they could be signifying all of your faults, right? This happens. Trust me. So that type of thing could happen to you. But if you're supposed, and the argument made by these particular type of prophets, and I don't think, or I'm sorry, I'm not going to say that. I know not all prophets are like this. And how extra more, not cunning, but wise. How much, just even of a greater mind, are those who only build truth on truth. I don't. Those are my truest heroes, and I'm sorry that I'm so mad at those who build truth on the trigger points. And I understand it's a certain type of like mental judo training or whatever, you know. But because they say you only appreciate something if you work for it, you know. And there's someone who I admire deeply who teaches like you don't appreciate what you don't pay for, and that's why he has you pay for things. But that's not true. I've paid for things that I fucking hate, and I've paid for things that I love. And things have been given to me that I don't give two shits about. And things have been given to me that I cherish to this day. For 40 years, and I still have. The quality of the thing, of the message, of the intent, is all that fucking matters. So if you're building a symbolism on what about this, what about that, what about this, what about that, but you're supposed to be reasonable enough to decipher all of that and pick it apart and find the truth in it, construct that truth and completely disregard all the rest of it, especially someone in my state, and you expect that that's not triggering something and lessening? No. It's harmful. I understand its necessity in so much as it's a vicious fucking world that eats itself in the wrong way. So if I, in my mission, am to have any success, I'm going to have to deal with it. I'm going to have to learn how to deal with it, and at least I'm in a safe enough environment where though I'm degraded, perhaps I'm strong enough to learn how to rise out of that degradation, so long as that degradation exists anyway. And I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just I assume there are others in my position, and it's up to us to step outside of that zone and do our very best in so much as we're capable. I never do. When I'm speaking with my hands, I'm speaking with my hands. I'm not being clever in any kind of way or whatever. Or, like, I don't do Morse code with my hands, is what I'm saying. Some people do. They do modified sign languages, construct their fingers so that they're doing Braille as they talk, and cancellation codes and so on. There's all that shit going on. And it's amazing that people can think that fast, and I almost shy away from calling them people. And they look every which way, every shape and size, every type of human being. That's what we're dealing with. But anyway, obviously my message isn't for them, but however brilliant they are, their goal is not complete no matter which side they're on. If they're on one side, it'll never be complete, and we're all doomed. And on the other side, I guess I'm getting off in too many weeds, but anyway, the whole deal with Plato is that it could be a test that was meant to be a test. Kind of like the whole deal with Eudoxus, who was coming up for a model. Plato challenged his students to come up with a model for the universe. So what did Eudoxus do? He's like, ain't none of y'all motherfuckers go. I'm going across the sea over this way, or wherever the fuck he went, He went far away to go find some answers. Then he came back and gave the first Western model of the cosmos, which was wrong, but was the best answer. And its beauty as a wrong answer is undeniable. Besides the prophets, and again, prophets is a term I use loosely, besides them, basically the whole world that lives today couldn't do what Eudoxus did. Even though he was wrong, it was the best answer that anyone in the West, so to speak, historically speaking, ever had come up with. And then his student, Heraclides, was the first person in the West that we know of who theorized that the Earth was spinning around. The importance of his name being Heraclides could not possibly in any way be overstated. Like, the importance of it being Heraclides, that was his name, Heraclides, having been the first to say that the sky spun around because the earth was spinning. The importance of that, it's beyond priceless. Anyway, that test survived. If Plato really was beneficent, wasn't the pre-Malthusian that the Republic would make him out to be. You have to see my last video to clear that whole fucking point up, man. Then the Republic was a test, but it persisted. But then the question is that a better type of philosophy, just like romance is a better type of love than women as property, right? I guess it's just a plea, because I'm assuming there are probably people in my position whenever you watch this. Could be tomorrow, could be 1,000 years from now, 100 years, well, not 1,000, but could be 20 years from now. Try your best to walk away from encoding symbolic knowledge in pseudo-ironic, jibber-jabber. And it's certainly a plea to myself. Try to build truth on truth. Try to re-inject optimism, and there's all kinds of ways you can be, for instance, right? And I'm not saying anything about this person, but like Tony Robbins, the most positive dude in the world. Like, I used to totally love, and I still love him. It's just I haven't listened to him as much lately because he's very practical, and I'm not in a practical place in my life right now. I'm in a different place. But so far as practicality is concerned, and just like a beautiful human being, I love Tony Robbins. I love Tony Robbins. In my mind, for so long, I was just like, Tony Robbins for president, man. Like, everything would be great. The world would be perfect if Tony Robbins was just president. It's not the worst fucking idea. It's definitely not the worst idea you heard today. You know, Tony Robbins is awesome. I don't know nothing about, I know about his biography. Who knows? For all I know, whatever. But say he was actually like a descended angel come here to like spread the word, right? And if not, just go along with the thought experiment, right? Then he could also be encoding things in his language. But he starts out at a positive, good, awesome, kick-ass place. And if there's symbology built into that, it just expands from there. And like the beautiful, like in those like Indian mandalas, like whew, which is also like a riff back toward probably the supremacy of Indian mathematics, which the West now only is like, yeah, they got some shit, or this movement that moved through India to the West and to the Arab, the whole Hindu-Arabic number system, and actually the geometry of Islamic temples in their heyday. There are some hardcore. I mean, there are answers there to questions in math today. But anyway, I guess I try not to plead or ask or pray too much. I try, these days I try not to pray barely at all. Or if I pray, I'm praying for God to remind me to check myself before I wreck myself, basically. Which I figure is an okay prayer, but it's like a lot of things I want to pray for. It's like, you already did that for me and I turn my back. You already did that for me and I turn my back. I can't pray for it again. But a lot of my prayers are more like, please allow me to speak before you, Most High Principle. Please allow me to speak before you to myself. Please allow me to talk to myself in your presence. That's kind of where I'm at a lot today. Because it helps. I wish I could pray with the purity that I had when I was younger. Because it didn't follow all these shit formulas. It was just knowing that God knows your every thought. Then it's like you're always questioning yourself, like, wait, you're about to pray for something, and you're like, wait, why am I praying for that? So then you kind of back up. It's a good practice, But yeah, I guess my plea for no matter how smart or stupid or how much you know, how much you don't know, like, it would really be a lot more wonderful if we could start with truth and love and all that, and not just like what we're capable of or what we're capable of encoding or hiding or this or that, but revelations, reveal. Try to speak from the best parts of ourselves. Try to lock away those demons. Yet, reveal that we have them. But you wouldn't want to see me talking the way I was talking to myself even a few hours ago. You wouldn't want to see it. It wouldn't be any good. Trust me. It was bad. Thank God I watched that Andrew Yang video. It made me feel better. And there's something to that. It's not just putting on rose-colored glasses or being some kind of Pollyanna. It takes a lot of courage to be beat down and to get up, shake yourself off. Sometimes it takes a minute, sometimes it takes a month, and then put yourself forward. And for some people, the show must go on, and I get that. I'm not there yet. The show goes on when it happens. But yeah, for anybody in my particular situation, in my strata, so to speak, a plea for more truth built on truth. And a plea to myself, try to be more true, Jeff. Now I'm speaking to myself because I know I'm going to watch this again. Jeff, try to be more true. Jeff, try to build truth on truth from a better place than we're at now. Please. Please, Jeff, do that. Jeffrey, please. I'll get to the other thing some other time. It had to do with Porphyry and God's Good Urge. Jeffrey. Build more truth on truth. Please. For Jeffrey, and for anybody else who might stumble on his path, please. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you